And I do have a preference for one of the formulas. Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today we are going to be reviewing a few more products from PRADA Beauty. So I already did a foundation review of their foundation, obviously. That I will definitely link in the description box below. Because of that foundation review, I kind of just wanted to try out a few more of their products because I do appreciate a good, well thought out luxury makeup brand, and so I was like, let's dive right into it. So the first product we're going to be talking about is their eyeshadow palette. Now they have multiple different shades of this. The one that I did pick up was in the shade 6 Pulp. Now the first thing that I wanted to say in regards to packaging is this is like the one PRADA product where I feel like they did the refillable packaging really well without compromising on like the quality and the luxury feel of the product. What I don't like about the foundation, you'll see it actually at the end of the video if you decide to watch that one, is that when you shake the foundation bottle, it sounds like a spray can. You actually get that with some of the other products in the PRADA line that are also refillable, but this is the one where they actually did it right. When you move this product around, there's no shaking, nothing is loose in here. The component fits into this very, very tightly. The way that you actually replace this is that you just push the triangle here, which again is PRADA's like #1 shape. You push this but here, and then you can literally see that the eyeshadow pops out. So you can just see it coming out here. So that's how you replace it. Now what I like again about this is that it is a perfectly seamless fit. There's no gap between the palette and the packaging itself. So there's no like none of that loose sound that you get with some of the other products that I can't stand. Let's go ahead and talk about the performance of these eyeshadows. So it is what I'm currently wearing on my lids today. So there's 4 different formulas in this eyeshadow palette, and I will list them out for you. First, here we have a metal foil shade, which is going to give you that glitz and glimmer, which this is actually very, very beautiful on the eyes. Then we have a satin shade, which is really nice for like an all over lid shade. We have a soft matte shade, which is this hot pink color here. And then we have the 4th formula, which is a hyper matte formula. Obviously, you guys know I love my pink tones, so when I saw that this was an option out of all the different eyeshadow palettes, of course I decided to purchase this one. First things first, this is one of those eyeshadow palettes that does truly feel like one of those very luxurious eyeshadows where it's going to give you this beautiful wash of color. It's going to be super easy to blend out, very easy to work with, but what it is not going to be is it's not going to be that super pigmented, like I am going to a concert at night and I need to be like eyeshadow popping off my eyes. Like it's not going to be that. It's going to give you that more, in my opinion, like kind of more like elegant, sophisticated, like that's the kind of feeling that I get from this eyeshadow. So I definitely do think that if you're comparing this to something like a Tom Ford experience, a Charlotte Tilbury experience, like I think those are a lot more similar versus if you were trying to compare this to even something like Pat McGrath, which is going to be a lot more of that like very glitzy, glimmer, high pigment kind of an eyeshadow. So again, 2 very, very different formulas, different ways of wearing them. I have an appreciation for both, so I do appreciate that the PRADA Beauty is very much aligned with that sort of, you know, wash of color versus that huge pop of pigment. So there is that. Having said all of that though, I actually brought this eyeshadow palette to Vegas with me because I was like, well, I'm gonna be testing this while I'm there because it's hot, it's gross, it's dry, and so like if you really want to know the longevity of a product, that's where you want to test it. So this actually does last for a really, really long time in terms of the wear time, and it's very, very easy to blend out. Now, my favorite way of doing this is during the daytime, I would actually take this satin shade here and put that all over my lid in a way to be able to like cover the discoloration on my eyelid, right? So I didn't really want like a lot of color during the day. I just wanted to make it look like this wasn't just like a huge black eye because nobody sleeps in Vegas. So I would use this shade to cover it up. And then at nighttime, I would add in the pops of the foil. I would take this brown shade, which is very, very special, and place that into my crease to give myself a little bit of definition. And then if I really wanted to go all out, I would use this exactly the same way that I have it smudged on my lower lash line to give myself a little bit of an electric pop of color. So this is the most interesting warm brown I have ever experienced in my life. When you look at it in the pan, you think that this is going to be like a very, very intense brown. Not really, actually. It's what I have in my crease shade here, so you can see that it's really easy to blend out. It's nothing to worry about, literally like at all. But I can definitely say that when I first tried it, I was a little bit disappointed by it because I wanted it to just have a little bit more color in it. Like I wanted to be able to build it up a little bit faster than the way that it lays down on the lid. However, the tone of this brown is really, really special because when you actually then swatch it onto your hand, you're like, oh, that's not actually like a chocolatey warm brown. That's straight up like a more mauve-y tone. And so I just thought that was really interesting in the eyeshadow palette, that like what is in the pan isn't necessarily what translates onto your eyes. So I don't know if the other eyeshadow palettes are like that, but I thought that was something worth noting in this one, just because you might think that you might get a really, really deep crease shade, but not really. All in all, in terms of this eyeshadow product, like, do I think that it's worth the $80 for like the full thing and then the refill is $55? That's something that I think is a you call versus a me call. This is gonna be like old faithful, old reliable, something that you can reach for every single day. And in that way, if that's how you're thinking about it, maybe the $80 can be justified. However, if you're someone who's more like, when I spend $80 on an eyeshadow palette, I want that thing to be like something that I reach for on a very special basis because it's like, holy crap, like that's a shit ton of pigment that I'm just never gonna get anywhere else, or it's got like amazing like micro glitter in it or something like that, where it's really like a special event makeup, then I don't think that this would be worth it for you. So really just kind of depends on where you fall in those two buckets, but I can definitely see this playing like more in that first one. Moving on to the next lip products that I actually tried. So I picked up all three of their different lip formulas. So they have a lip balm, a soft matte lipstick, and then a hyper matte lipstick. So I'm gonna go ahead and swatch these for you. Okay, so I lied. I'm actually not gonna swatch the lip balm for you because the color that I have is the clear transparent one, so it's just gonna show up as clear if I try to swatch it. This is an interesting product. So I'll be honest with you guys, like it's $50. Am I going to stand here and like be like, yes, you should absolutely buy a lip balm for $50? Like, it's up to you. However, I do like this lip balm in terms of like the luxury experience. I do think that this is a fun product to have. It's very much one of those products where you're just like, oh, I feel so spatial when I use this. It is pretty moisturizing as well. I do think it lasts a decent amount on the lips. I actually wore this on the plane and I didn't feel like my lips got super dried out as we were flying, so that was really nice. I will also say that in terms of like the luxury lip balms, this one is actually pretty good. I've definitely dunked on the Givenchy lip balm before because that one was just so crap. Like it was literally like, there's like no moisture in that, but this one definitely does feel pretty luxurious, pretty moisturizing on your lips. I wish that it gave a little bit more of a shine on your lips because honestly, like it just doesn't look like you have anything. And then the other thing that I wish that it had is that I wish it had a scent. It's not gross or anything like those products that smell like vegetable oil. Like it's not like that or anything. I just wish it had like more of like a vanilla scent to it or something like an elevated sugar scent. The fact that it's just like totally unscented and like kind of, you know, it's just like, I wish I didn't pay $50 for this because it's fine. So the two lipstick shades that I bought here obviously are like those more pink tones because that's what I really like. This one is the soft matte, so this is B159 Nudo, and then this one is the hyper matte, and this one is B11 Alabaster. I like both of these shades. I think they're actually really beautiful. I'll be honest with you guys, when I look at lipsticks, I very rarely do like really bright pinks or like really bright reds. I am the sort of person where like I prefer my lip color to kind of look like I'm like somewhat dead because it's just, I love a good nude lip. Like that is just right up my alley. I love both of these shades. I think they're both really, really beautiful. Performance-wise though, they're a little bit different and I do have a preference for one of the formulas. The soft matte, okay, I understand the point of what they were trying to go for. They were trying to go for like a more blurred effect so that like it's kind of almost like your lips are blotted versus having like true color on them. I, however, think that in the shade that I got, it was a little bit of a miss, mostly just because I did feel like a lot of the time it would accentuate the lines on my lips and make everything just look, instead of blotted, it would just look very like blotchy on my lips. I never really could get it to give me like a true beautiful lay down of color unless I was wearing a lip pencil with it, in which that case I was like, all right, I can kind of get there. I think it's one of those formulas that just has that like odd mix between being like matte, but then also wanting to be slippy, but then to the point where it just kind of like, it's just not quite right because it's trying to do too many things at once. I actually really like the Hyper Matte formula. This is a lovely and fun lipstick. I also do think that this works the best with a lip liner as well, as most lipsticks when they're this bright and light do. This one for me actually also wore for a decent amount of time, which is why I really like it. And then also with the Hyper Matte formula, you just don't really have an expectation in your head that it's going to like not show the different lines on your lips. So in that way, it's almost kind of like the expectation foundations, the performance of it just doesn't really like, it's not confusing, right? Like when you do get a little bit of crusties on your lips, the way that my lips currently look right now, it's very like, well, yeah, it's a hyper matte formula. If you're looking for something that's gonna give you full opacity, like a beautiful lay down of color where you're not gonna have any gaps, it's not gonna look like anything is skipping on your lips, there's no blotchiness, I would highly recommend going with the hyper matte formula. If you do wanna try something that is gonna give you a little bit more of that like blotted lip look, that's a little bit like more blurry, you could try the soft matte, but to be totally honest, like I don't think that that is a formula that I'm going to go and repurchase. I just wish a lot of lipstick formulas would either stick with like, if you're gonna do something that's a little bit more soft or a little more like blotted, it does need to be a little bit more on like that like slippy formula where it's just like it's got oil in there and it's not trying to be a matte formula, if that makes sense. And this is just the other thing too, right? It's like when you're shaking it, you can hear like the refillable part of this that just comes up like this. Like you can kind of hear it in here, and I'm just kind of like, I don't really know if I like that. So just little things about the lipstick that I was kind of like, it's not my favorite lipstick formula, honestly. Like if you're really looking for a good matte lip color, I would actually recommend going with Vive over Prada, just because I find that formula to just be a lot easier to work with and a lot better. So for me, the lipsticks were a little bit of a miss. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to ever repurchase these again, but nevertheless, they were very fun to try out and review for you guys. And that, my friends, pretty much wraps up today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed this quick review of other products from the Prada Beauty line. If you found it helpful, please feel free to like this video, subscribe to our channel. Also follow us over on Instagram if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.